Welcome to today's video on persuasive communication and presentation skills. Today, we'll be going through what is presenting, the power of persuasion, and the 3 stages of developing a persuasive presentation. By the end of this video, you should be able to have a clear understanding of the nature of persuasion. You'll be able to define the purpose of your communication effectively. You'll understand how important it is to understand who your audience is and how to communicate with them. And then we'll go through some strategies and techniques to help you craft a compelling, persuasive presentation and hopefully build your skills and confidence. So what is presenting? At its very core, it's about connecting with people through your words and delivery. So this can be any kind of communication, whether it's virtually over meetings, it might be face-to-face, over the phone, through email. It can be with individuals or groups, but it's about how you communicate who you are and how you can help others. It's important to define your communication purpose. Are you simply just informing your audience? Or are you aiming to inspire some kind of action or drive some kind of change? If you can define the objective, it'll help you shape your message and it'll ensure that it resonates with your audience in the way that you want it to. Persuasion. The power of persuasion is the art of influencing others to adopt a particular belief, attitude, or action through effective communication. Some people seem to be more persuasive than others, and I think we can see that in the way that they interact with people. And you can see how it influences decisions and how it can build relationships, how it can promote change. And this is what we hope to harness today. Persuasion strengthens the ability to communicate insights, advocate for users, and build consensus, all of which are essential to the success of design thinking and co-design. Persuasion has been discussed for many years, and there seems to be some core foundational pillars that we go back to that help us in our efforts of persuasion, and they are ethos, which is credibility, pathos, which is emotion, and logos, which is logic. So credibility is the ability to develop trust by demonstrating expertise and reliability. Emotion is about connecting to your audience on an emotional level so it resonates with their feelings. And logic is the ability to use your facts and data and logical reasoning to make a really strong case. Developing a persuasive presentation can be broken down into 3 stages. The first is analysis, and this is where we take stock. We assess what we want to communicate, we assess why we want to communicate that, and then we also figure out who our audience is. The second is design. So this is where we structure how we are going to communicate this message. Delivery is where we present the message in a way that is engaging and makes an impact on our audience. Stage 1 analysis. So here are the 5 steps to hit your target. The first is to identify your topic. Hopefully you will have some awareness of what that is. We want to broadly identify the context, but also be really specific about the subject matter that you want to communicate. The second is deciding on your goal. What are you actually wanting to get out of it? Thirdly, create your purpose. What do you want the audience to get out of it? 4, determine your leading statement. This is kind of our slogan. And then 5, we need to analyze our audience, figure out who they are, how they communicate, what are their backgrounds, how is this going to influence our presentation. Goals. What are you trying to achieve? You might be trying to achieve a number of things with your presentation, and it's always important to outline this at the very beginning. So are you just informing the audience, or are you using this presentation to build trust and develop relationships with your audience? Are you hoping to encourage some kind of reaction from the audience? Do you want them to engage with something, or do you want to enhance buy-in for a product or a process or an idea? Are you trying to shift them from one way of thinking to another? Or are you just trying to clarify something that seems really complex and make it more simple? Purpose. So whereas the goal was more presenter oriented, so what do you want to be able to do with your presentation? The purpose is more audience focused. So this is about figuring out what the audience is going to get from your presentation. What do you want them to take away from this? And this is sometimes a little tricky because you have to reframe your goal and you have to align your purpose with their needs. So these are really helpful phrases like why we should, or how we could, or the benefits of. They're good little prompts to help you figure out what the purpose of your presentation might be. So for an example, the benefits of co-design for community-led change. Leading statement. So a leading statement is really helpful because it's almost like a little synopsis of what you're trying to achieve. And it's a slogan. So it's a short little sentence that really captures that main message that you want the audience to take away. So our example here is, by engaging the people we are designing for, we can create human-centered solutions. Who are your audience? These are some really important questions to ask yourself before you even start designing your presentation. What are their backgrounds? What are their roles? What are their levels of knowledge or expertise? What kind of beliefs might they hold? What will they likely find compelling? And what communication preferences might they have? Why it matters? It matters a lot. Your audience's background, values, interests, and concerns, they shape how they see the world, so that will shape how they receive your message. Understanding these factors before you even get to designing your presentation will help you effectively tailor your presentation so that it makes an impact on who you want to talk to. You'll need to adapt your tone, your language, your content. And you'll need to make sure that when you understand your audience, you understand their specific concerns and needs. So then you can address that in your presentation. Once you know your purpose and you have a deeper understanding of your audience, you can then design a presentation that connects and motivates a response. Stage 2, design. Your presentation design is about how you structure your message. This is where we think about the key pieces of information you want to include. This is where you think about how the audience will best receive the message. So this comes into communication methods. How are you going to deliver it? What kind of language are you going to use? Essential info to include. What is the specific problem or opportunity that you are addressing with your persuasive presentation? How significant is it? Really clarify its relevance and its context. So the solution you propose, it might be the information you are providing, it might be a system or a service change. Explain how the issue or the opportunity can be addressed with what you are doing or what you are talking about. How does it work? Provide your supporting evidence. This is where we want to build a little bit of trust with our credibility and logic. And what benefits does it provide to users or stakeholders? So you have to really make sure that you demonstrate the value of what you are providing. Remember to always be audience focused. This is the AIDA model of persuasion. The model was developed in 1898 by St. Elmo Lewis in an attempt to explain how personal selling works in a marketing context. The first thing we need to do is capture attention. We need to start strong. We need to open with a question, a fact, a story. We then need to maintain interest. We need to make sure that we are addressing relevant issues or pain points that relate to our audience. We then need to move beyond that to develop desire. We need to create a genuine want or need for whatever it is that you might be offering. And then we need to convert that into action. There needs to be a clear call to action in your message that you're providing. We need to explain what we want the audience to do or what we want them to take away from what it is that we're saying. Start with a pow. Start strong. You might need an icebreaker. So an icebreaker is an interesting fact or figure or statistic that you can provide within the first 30 seconds of the presentation. You want to grab your audience's attention and make sure that they engage with whatever it is that you're talking about. So the way you might use it is that you might offer a fun fact or statistic like, did you know almost 75% of people are scared of public speaking? Then you'd introduce yourself, you greet the audience, and then you connect your icebreaker to the topic by informing the audience about the purpose of your presentation and what they can gain from it. So this is going back to our analysis stage 1. Storytelling. It can be incredibly useful to use narratives to engage your audience. It connects with them both emotionally and intellectually. It can help simplify really complex concepts. It can evoke empathy. It can inspire action. And it's good if you can make them relatable scenarios or even personal experiences. So an example might be is that I used to be afraid of public speaking. I used to get shaky voice, sweaty palms, heart palpitations, the whole fight or flight package. And it was a real problem at work, but then I learned how to structure my presentations to focus on the audience and practice the skills until I became more confident. So to make your story more relatable, have a think about this framework. Use a persona. So use a character that represents your audience or a user or a stakeholder. This helps your audience connect emotionally to the story. Really highlight the need. Be really clear in defining the problem or the opportunity or the context that the persona or character faces. Present a solution. So describe what you are offering. And demonstrate the impact. So this is where we want to really highlight the value of what it is that you are offering. Really spell it out for the audience. Did you know that we process visual information much faster and we also retain it a lot better compared to words alone? So visual aids are tools that we use in a presentation to enhance the understanding and retention of information for our audience. So they might be images, charts, graphs, videos, infographics, slides, just to help explain complex information, emphasize the key message, and keep your audience engaged. Here is an example that I love. It is from a website called Information is Beautiful. There's also a book that explains how to make data visualization good. This here is an infographic on successful visualization of data. As you can see, it's kind of a bit of a Venn diagram. It's got the main components of information, so the data that we're using, the story and the concept, the goal, what are we trying to achieve, how useful is it, and the visual form. So what is the structure, appearance, how pretty is it? And if we can get all of these things to overlap, we're going to have a much more successful visualization of data and communicate our message far clearer to our audience. Writing a script of your presentation is actually a really helpful tool because it allows you to test your language, make sure what you are saying is clear and concise. It also allows you to reflect back on your audience and their preferred communication ways. It might be adjusting your tone, it might be changing specific words to help really make sure that their understanding is clear. It also helps you to identify and remove jargon. We often kind of get stuck in our own little positions where we have all these acronyms or technical words for what we do most of the time, and a lot of other people don't understand what we're talking about. So we need to make sure that we go through what we're saying and make it more accessible to our audience. Helps you clarify your message, makes you really think critically about what you are going to include and how you're going to include it. And it also allows you to practice the way that you are going to deliver this presentation. You can rehearse your timing, you can emphasize the key points, and it helps you avoid stumbling over words or phrases. Making a business case is a specific kind of persuasive presentation. It's about telling a story that addresses a business need, and there will be some specific components to include in a business case summary. That is a business need, whether it's solving a problem or seizing an opportunity, and the design solution. We need to think about who is involved with stakeholders and beneficiaries. We need to think about who is this impacting and how many people, or how large is the market size, what's the potential reach. We need to think about the competitive advantage and the potential impact of what it is that we are offering. The market entry approach or the diffusion of innovation strategy. So how are we going to make this work in the population? Funding and resource requirements, and potential risks and returns. Here is an activity to help you capture the essence of your pitch. So these are just short little activities that help you really distill what it is that you are trying to convey to your audience. First might be writing your pitch in one sentence as an attention-grabbing headline. Then you might want to try and illustrate this headline using only 2 images. Try writing a short description of the pains and gains that is going to be addressed by the pitch and the potential value. So be really specific about the benefits. The elevator pitch. Practice explaining your pitch to someone in 30 seconds and try it with different people who have different understandings of what you're talking about. And lastly, find a relatable metaphor or analogy to explain your pitch. If you can find a really good one, then you can include it in your presentation, and it helps to be able to communicate to your audience even better. We are on to the delivery of your presentation. So the moment has arrived. You've put in a lot of hard work. You've carefully selected each piece of content, and now you are standing before your audience, and how you deliver it will define its success. Will your message resonate? Will your audience stay engaged? The delivery stage is crucial in transforming your carefully crafted presentation into a powerful, persuasive experience for your audience. So it goes far beyond reciting information. During this phase, you need to connect with your audience. So let's have a look at some tips to help you feel more confident in your delivery. Before we do, though, I want you to keep in mind that people are not just engaging or investing in the content of what you are saying, but the person behind it as well, so you. So people invest in knowledge, passion, integrity, experience, leadership, vision, skills, practicality. This means first impressions matter. So we want to try and help you come across as confident and capable. It's important to warm up. Athletes do it, musicians do it. We need to be ready for what we're about to do. So make sure you warm up your body by doing a few little stretches or maybe walking about the room. Warm up your voice. Use tongue twisters to help your articulation. You might want to say a few sentences aloud to help you notice your projection of your voice. You might want to do a few facial exercises just to relax your jaw. Confident and friendly body language plays a really important role in how your message is going to be received. It really helps you engage with your audience, helps build trust, and reinforces the key points of your presentation. So no matter how you're conducting your presentation, whether it's in person or virtually, you're going to have to think about your posture. So we want that shoulders back, avoid slouching, and try and stay relaxed and open. If you can, maintain eye contact with your audience just so that they feel seen. Gestures should be natural and purposeful. Facial expressions should match what you're saying, so showing enthusiasm or concern or seriousness is needed. And if you're conducting this in person, move with intention and use your space wisely. Same with your voice. Your voice is a very powerful tool in persuasion. Use pauses. So purposeful pauses can be really helpful for emphasis on key points. Volume. Volume, it's important to be heard, but it can also be varied for emphasis. So we don't want to be at one level the entire time, but we want to make sure that we are heard by everybody. And the same goes for pitch. We want to avoid that monotony. We want to vary it a little bit, but we don't want to be all the way up here or all the way down there. Pace. Keep a moderate pace. You can slow down for clarity and speed up for excitement, but you want to keep a pretty steady pace to the presentation. Keep people engaged, move it along. Emphasis. So you need to make sure that the words and phrases that are about your key message are memorable. And intonation. Make sure that you're using rising tones and falling tones to signal different types of things that you are saying, like questions or conclusions. So what if you've done all the prep, but the moment comes and you're feeling nervous? I am here to tell you that it is completely normal to feel nervous before or during a presentation. When you're about to speak in front of an audience, your body can trigger a fight or flight response, which is a very natural reaction to stress. So we are designed to detect scary things, and our body is designed to respond very quickly by either getting away or putting up a fight or playing dead. And so that can be the same thing when we detect that we have to speak in front of an audience. Depending on the way that we're thinking, we might worry about messing up. We might be worried about getting judged, and these can feel scary. So 3 strategies that I'd really recommend to help manage those nerves is breathing. Sounds fairly simple, but when our sympathetic nervous system is activated, we need help restoring our parasympathetic nervous system. So we need to slow our breathing down and regulate it a little more. So we don't want to take huge, long, deep breaths. We want to take slow, regular breaths. So it might be breathing in for 5 seconds, holding it for 1, breathing out for 5 seconds, and repeating that just a couple of times. You may wish to ground yourself, so find something physical, like your feet on the floor or holding a pen, just focusing on our senses of physical touch, of what we can see, what we can hear, to bring our body back into the room of where we are, to remind ourselves that we are not currently in danger. And the last one is a bit more of a mind strategy. It's about visualizing success, and this is a strategy that is often used in sports psychology. So want to picture yourself delivering your presentation well and confidently, and focusing on the positive outcome. So there's actually a part of our brain that fires up when we visualize doing something, and it helps us actually do the thing better when it comes time to doing it. So if you can practice, if you can then visualize yourself delivering this presentation well, then the likelihood is that you will deliver a really great persuasive presentation. If you're interested in any further information, we've got a few additional resources here for you. Great TED Talk by Phil Wankel. We've got some articles that are available in your additional resources, and I highly recommend checking out the website. Information is beautiful. So let's review our learning outcomes. Hopefully you have a pretty good understanding of persuasion. You know how to define the purpose of your communication well. You recognize the importance of understanding who your audience is, and you've developed some strategies and techniques for crafting a really good persuasive presentation. Time to reflect. So there is a reflection activity along with a summary of all the things we've discussed today that will be available to you, and it's going to ask you to think about your persuasive communication skills and how you can integrate what you've learned today into your future presentations. We've come to the end of the video today. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you've found it informative, and I wish you all the best for your persuasive presentations in the future.